So yeah, welcome. I hope everybody can join us and bring your questions, your comments, your updates. All of that is really welcome. So encourage that throughout these chats. We usually go for about half an hour, and then afterwards we post this on our social media so you can see the replay. So hopefully you guys have seen that and gotten something out of it, because not everybody can join us at this particular time at 7 p.m. PST. Which is kind of after my work day here. So cool. Good to see everybody. Hey, John Claude, I see you on Facebook. All right, my friend. Good to see you, buddy. Who's on us for Instagram here? We got a couple of people joining in. It's great. Get some familiar faces here too. All right, we got Chad as well. What's up, buddy? Good to see you guys. I wanted to talk today, if you don't mind, a little bit, another update here about Lightbox Expo and what we plan to do for that this year. Because as you know, with all the Corona craziness, Lightbox Expo in-person event, it has been canceled in Pasadena. But not to freak out, we're doing an online event. The Lightbox organizers have put together a really, really strong online event. And we're one of the sponsors of Lightbox Expo. We were last year, and we're doing that again this year. And they kept us in the loop about what they had planned. And I think it's starting to come together as another really, really important now online event that I think will have further reach for people. So those of you guys who could not go to LA, it would have been expensive anyway. Let's assume nothing else was going on with this whole Corona thing. But to get to LA, you got to get a hotel room and, or bunk up with a friend or whatever. You pay for transportation. All that stuff adds up if you're not local to the area, so it becomes really difficult. Plus, you got to pay for your entry fee to get into Lightbox. Some of you guys were artists and had booths there, and there's also expense to that as well. So it just makes things easier. And I think the same caliber of artists are going to be with us. So that's cool. That's all going to be really important and fun. To participate in. So let me give you a little lowdown on what we're doing here. Is for Lightbox, there's a couple things. So there's what the organizers are doing, which is creating a really spectacular online event that attracts really the top talent in the industry. And this happened in the in-person event, and they're just moving that online. I think that's kind of a given. More details are going to come as we start getting closer to those dates. And I think the official releases and notices from Lightbox people will be coming on their website and email list and stuff. Now on our end here, let me tell you what we're going to do in conjunction with Lightbox, and that's why we like to be a sponsor, because we want to make sure that we get some exposure and that we get that story community really strong out there. So we are planning a ton of live streams for that weekend. So it happens September 11th through the 13th. And in fact, even before then, we're going to be really active in September, because I did mention to you guys that we are opening the mentorship course that we did a couple years ago. That was a really awesome first run with a really good get my tongue tied here. A good bunch of guys. In fact, some of them I'm seeing already out there. So yeah, the dates are September 11th through 13th of this year, 2020. So mark that on your calendars, and it's super easy now, because all you have to do is just be online. So if you can make yourself available for that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and of course you don't have to be there the whole time. You can pick and choose which events and which people you want to go to. And I think I would just encourage everybody to at least separate a couple hours a day, maybe in the evening, maybe in the early morning. And you just go search around what events and talks and live streams and stuff are going to be sponsored that weekend, and just pick and choose the ones. Everything that we do, and especially if it becomes live and we're going to invite some special guests and stuff, everything that we do, we will record, and we're going to post that to our social media pages, so you can see the replays on YouTube and Facebook, and also Instagram. Now, Instagram doesn't have like a bank of replays, but we're going to put that on Instagram TV so that you guys can you can see that after the fact if you can't be there live, because I know there might be some competing events and it might be difficult to get to everything. Okay, we are going to have a bunch of special guests, friends of mine that ex-coworkers and collaborators that I know in the industry. We're going to invite them to do some talks, and I think those panel talks will be really, really good. I'm going to be doing some demos, and I'm going to be talking about portfolios. I'm going to do portfolio review for all of you guys who are looking to prep your portfolio and do that. You can certainly have my opinion, and that was really successful in the past. When we did that, we got a lot of people to submit their work, and we went at it with the portfolios. And then we're going to invite our buddy Nick Sung, who those of you who've been following us recently know that he came on to a live stream and chatted with us in conjunction with the Visual Story course. This is another course that we sponsor, and that one is free too. So there's going to be a lot of activity, and this is great. And it's all going to be in our platform. It's all going to be story related, visual storytelling, getting your images, your portfolios, and all pushing that to get better. So if you have any questions about that, let us know, and we'll get that going for you guys. Okay. What's the other thing I wanted to mention is certainly as we lead up to those dates, you're going to see a bunch of updates. So I recommend, if you guys want to be the first to sign up for registration to any of those events, then you want to join our email list. And I just got an email. It was really funny. I just got a text on my phone here. That's why I got a little distracted. Because a buddy of mine is texting me right now who I want to get on some of these live chats. So he did he did some awesome work for Pixar, and I'm hoping to get him on to chat with us. So a lot of the guys that we know in the industry, I hope you can join us, because all of this for free, by the way. I will say there is a cost. There potentially will be a cost for the Lightbox Expo, but like I said, it won't be that expensive. I think it'll be very, very low cost and affordable and accessible for everybody. Certainly the stuff that we do, most of it is free. The only thing that if you have the money, the time, and the interest, you go to our courses. Those things you pay for, and it's usually a more structured thing. So that's for those who are interested in that kind of stuff. Okay, and hopefully we're giving you your money's worth, right? Hopefully the guys that have been through our courses that are on here they get the value out of what we try to do here, because we talk about three things mostly, right? And this is part of the updates I want to say. Is networking. Okay, this is why I want to talk about this, because it's really important. That's why I want to mention the Lightbox today. Career, which is basically how you get by with the tools that you have and the resources, so that you're not going to fall into this like stereotype of a starving artist, which I think is complete myth. Okay, and the third one is technique. So that one is on storytelling techniques, on digital techniques, on drawing methods. That's the actual technique of becoming an artist. So you know your tools and that stuff. Those are the three pillars that we talk about with storyboard art. And I think they're all just as important, and we need to attack each and every one of them. This particular focus here is talking about networking and getting that focus. So lastly, to finish off this quick update, and then I want to get to your questions or any updates or comments that you guys have, is to talk about that networking thing and update. So one thing that is really important, especially in these trying times where we have things that we're getting curveballs thrown at us all the time, okay? Recently, things like we weren't expecting that we had lockdowns. We weren't expecting that productions would be shut down, or office work would be disrupted by what's going on in the industry, which makes it even more important to be connected to each other and to the greater industry. So one, we can keep up to date on how things are going, and two, that we're in touch with other people who are working and now probably remote. There's a lot of people who are working from home. So that's a really important thing, that we all stay connected. And that's why it's cool, because you can trade leads, right? Somebody might not be able to do a job, and they have to pass off to somebody else. If they remember you exist and you're alive and they trust your work, and maybe you're already set up, you have a website, you have your images on social media that are story related, then that way it's easier for them to pass on a reference and get you going so that you're working already. That's the networking part, okay? So it's not a bad idea to call your friends and just say what's up and ask them, how are you doing? How are things going during these times? Are you doing okay? Is everybody healthy, right? And also are you staying busy? That's really important. And in fact, a lot of the people I've been talking to, especially the guys that are kind of established in the industry and working, were working before, they kept on working. There wasn't really a pause. In fact, a lot of the guys I know are still they still have hard deadlines, and they're working really hard. And not only that, they had to figure out and do the adjustment of working at home. I think for most people that I knew, at least they had a setup or laptop or something that they could get their work done. And because most people do, especially pros nowadays, you want to have a setup, right? You want to have a setup and have that. Even a simple setup at home is fine, but just good internet connection and a decent computer to work on to do your drawings and be able to beam your stuff to people. Certainly with Zoom and social media and all this like video conferencing and chat stuff, it makes these things much easier. But most of the guys I knew were busy, and myself, I never stopped. Like I had taken a break for some personal things, like in early in the year in January and February, and even still, I was planning what I was going to be doing after those personal things, unrelated to the whole Corona stuff, were done. And then once that was over, my like personal break, I took some time off with family. Then I was working. I was like working as much as possible, and I have a setup at home, and I was working at home. Okay, so I already have a decent internet connection. I got a strong computer, and I'm working on my things, and that's how I do a lot of my demos and just get my work done. And I was already, I'm really good at video chat and emails and text and all that stuff. So I was already doing that stuff. So none of this has taken me by surprise. So I think you guys should either, and I hope you're up to date on any of these things, because we got to stay connected for all of this. Okay. So yeah, that's basically my update. Is just stay on the networking, and check us out for Lightbox. It's like I said, most of the stuff we're going to do is free. If there's any cost involved with the Lightbox at all, which I doubt, it's going to be very low cost. I think there's a small entry price just because they want to keep out like bots and other guys. We'll stick around to see what they say, the official Lightbox announcement. Okay. At any rate, it's going to be affordable, and especially if you guys all over the world, no matter where you are, come check us out, because that's going to be one opportunity to connect. And I would recommend everybody who is planning on participating with that online event is put together some kind of images that you have to show, so that when you're part of a group chat, or you participate in an event where you're asking questions and your like icon comes up, your avatar comes up, that if somebody clicks on your link, they're going to be sent to a place where you want them to go to see your images. It might be an art station, it might be your LinkedIn, it might be your own personal website or your Instagram account. But at any rate, at least you have a couple of recent images that are ready to go. And don't overthink it. Don't go crazy and stress out about it, but just have something ready that when you go to these professional events, you're already geared up. And I had a really good talk with a buddy today who told me just that, and I hope to give you more details about that. But he basically got a job because he had his stuff set up. He already had images ready to go, and he didn't even look for the job. Somebody had checked out his profile and his website, and they already saw images, and they gave him a call because of that. So that's how it's done, my friends. You have to be ready. You have to kind of make your own luck, okay, to this thing. You can't just pray that somebody's gonna come and call you out of the blue if you're not doing your part to put your images out there and actually show off your skills and share it with the world. That's part of what we've got to do. Okay, remember, networking, your career, and your technique all have to be in sync, or else it's not going to work that well. Okay, cool. Yeah, let me check out some of these questions here that are hitting up on Facebook. So, Chad here is asking, how do you think we should utilize LinkedIn? Let me tackle that question. There's some good responses here too. So, post your stuff on LinkedIn as much as you do on Facebook. That's one recommendation from John Claude here. That's really cool. I can't agree more. LinkedIn is actually what I consider an underrated social media and an underused platform, especially for the stuff that we do. You'll notice that LinkedIn recently has a feed just like Facebook and Instagram, but it's geared toward pros. It's professional people. So not only can you connect with others, other guys that are in the industry might see your posts that get pushed through that feed. So we're talking producers, directors, writers, anybody involved with kind of visual storytelling in general, video game projects, media projects, any of that could see your work, the stuff that you're posting or updates that you have. So that, I think, is an underused platform that I think we should all be taking advantage of a little bit more. Okay. And so, okay, follow-up question here. I'll just say this out loud so everybody can participate. So beyond that, I mean, the messaging system and the way people interact a bit more is difficult. How would you go about trying to communicate with people on there that you aren't necessarily linked to? Okay. And again, a couple responses here. You can follow certain people so that when they post something, it shows in your feed. That's the same functionality as like an Instagram or even a Facebook, right? And then John Claude is also saying there's groups. So we actually have a group in LinkedIn. Our Facebook group is a little more active, but again, LinkedIn is more pro related, so you're going to get a lot of the professionals there. Let me give in my 2 cents to this for LinkedIn. I would say a couple of things here is that what you want to do is really well, let me gather my thoughts, because there's a couple of approaches. One is there's the resume portion of LinkedIn, which is kind of listing your job titles and the things that you've done in the past. There's also a somewhat portfolio section where you can upload links and images to things that you have going on. And then you have the kind of feed section, right? So the first thing you should do, I think, is organize each one of those things so that when anybody goes to your profile, they see what you want them to see. And I was getting on somebody's case the other day because they asked me to take a look at their resume, and I went in their resume, they had a link to their LinkedIn profile. And what did I do? I clicked on that link and I went to their LinkedIn, and sure enough, it was like bare bones, just very basic. And there wasn't much to it. These are tools that recruiters are using nowadays. This is stuff that they are looking for to research the candidates that could potentially be in their companies. So you want to make sure you're on it, your stuff is updated, and that you have some examples to show, or you're pointing them to another link or website that will have a much more elaborate description of the things that you've done. Okay. I also recommend, this is stuff that I've told people before, but one is just certainly on LinkedIn, keep it professional. So don't put like your non-related visual storytelling stuff on your LinkedIn if that's what you're going for, right? So let's assume we're all story artists here. You would want to put your story-related jobs and examples there. So like the side illustrations that you do, I love going out landscape painting, for example. I love doing some color work, but I consider that kind of hobby stuff, just practice stuff, and I'm not going to post that unless it has a story to it. I'm not going to post that on my story thing, because I don't want them to confuse the fact that I can do like a painting or some kind of like sketch. I don't want them to confuse that with the professional work. Okay, so get that organized is basically what I'm saying. Now the posts, this is where the key, I think, is cool, because as a difference to Facebook and maybe even Instagram is now, like, I'm sure you guys know, it's like really saturated with artists, and there's a ton of really cool art out there. So to kind of get noticed in that amazing sea of artists is kind of difficult. So what you can do in LinkedIn is post professional related material that might give like a tip into the techniques that you're using. It might show off the latest jobs that you did or an animatic that you did. And if you post that on LinkedIn, you're not competing as much with all of the artists that are on there, because again, it's not as saturated as an Instagram right now. That's why I said it's a little bit underrated. So if you take advantage of LinkedIn and start posting things on there, you're going to be good. So a couple of recommendations for the posting things. If you're already doing Instagram and you're already doing like a Facebook, maybe you're on TikTok or any one of these other ones, just add LinkedIn. Just put the same post. Like, you don't have to overthink that either. Just copy it, and you can download that stuff, the app, on your phone. You can open up your LinkedIn stuff and then post the same thing that you're doing on Instagram. You can just copy and paste like even the text and all that stuff. You could just write it once, then copy that and paste it into LinkedIn as well. Okay, so that's one easy way of getting started. You can vice versa. So if you start on LinkedIn, you can post that back into your Instagram. Most of the time, if you store your photos and images on your phone, you can go back and forth through these different apps and just get in the habit of doing like 2 at once. Okay. I know there are aggregator apps that you can pay for that will post to like all your social media accounts at the same time. Although I don't know if Instagram is actually supported by some of those. Oh, sorry, did I say Instagram? I meant to say LinkedIn. So Instagram is popular one, it's most likely supported by that stuff. I meant to say LinkedIn may not be supported by some of these like aggregator posting apps, which is why I think you guys should take advantage of that stuff. So anyway, great question on the LinkedIn thing. If anybody else has any tips to that, let us know, because are you guys posting on LinkedIn right now? One thing that you can do just to keep in mind is that if you come to a chat like this, which usually attracts other people that are in the industry or that are doing story related stuff, is that you can just put your LinkedIn in here and actually have people connect with you that way. All right. In fact, let me see if I can do that real quick. I'll copy mine because I want to connect with all of you guys myself. So bring your questions while I bring this up. Let me do this. And what am I doing here? I'm going to my website, sergiopaez.com. I'm clicking on my social media because I don't have this memorized. Do you? Do you have your LinkedIn memorized? I have my website memorized. But here is, I'm posting this in Facebook. So in LinkedIn, you guys are going to have to, I'm sorry, in Instagram, you'll have to see it after the fact. But there's my personal LinkedIn account. And I posted that through the storyboard art profile. So you guys, if you see the replay or whatever, you can check that out. Why did I do that? And thank you, Chad, for doing the same. Is like, let's all connect, let's all share, and hopefully that we're connected already, because it's the bigger network and connections you have, just the better it is. I think you want to, you can somewhat be selective about the people who you bring on, but hey, why not at least extend your community to like-minded story thinking people and story artists like we have on these chats. Okay, cool. That's a good question here. Let me say this out loud. So Ray's art journey here on Instagram is saying, I post occasionally on LinkedIn, but not sure it's being seen by enough people or influential people. That will also depend on the number of connections you have in LinkedIn. So one thing to think about by posting in LinkedIn is that you're essentially putting something out on a feed that other people can share, and that's how you get kind of viral. It's the same thing as like when you first started your Instagram account, you probably didn't have many followers, right? But as you start building up those connections, like over the years, man, I'm surprised how many connections I have. I have a couple thousand LinkedIn connections. I think that's my strongest social media account. And that way, if I post something, all those people see it, okay? And then that doesn't mean they're actually waiting for my post, right? It's like if they happen to open LinkedIn and at the same time they see my profile and my post, then it's gonna show up in their feed, right? But it works the same way as like an Instagram. So, but the thing is, here's the kicker with that. If you're posting professional stuff and not just random, like, oh, I had a hamburger for lunch kind of thing, like that's useless. If you're posting professional level stuff, like your latest work, an animatic that you did, or the latest job that you did, what's going to happen is that shows up in your profile. Recruiters, when they search for you, will also be able to see what you've posted, okay? And this is the key here too, because that history is really important. They do this nowadays. This is like the background check for a lot of recruiters and companies. They want to make sure they're getting quality people. And the competition is hard out there, okay? So the better prepared you are, and the more like to the point and easier for like recruiters and stuff to find these things, the easier it's gonna be for you to land those gigs, because they're gonna quickly do as fast as possible. They're gonna do a search on you for LinkedIn, your website, do Google search, whatever. They're gonna find your name. They do this stuff. I've heard this firsthand from recruiters in the companies that I've worked for. And then they're going to do a somewhat background check. And there's nothing crazy comes up that you haven't like been in jail, you haven't been like out of work for 27 years, and you're just coming back off of some like, long time absence. those things will show up, and they will ask you about it. Be like, well, you've been out of work for 27 years. Where the hell have you been? So that's kind of things that they're gonna look for. So if you've been consistent, you have your profile, you have your work that you've been doing. You might even have some cool things, some nuggets to show, like you did a commercial that might have won some awards, or you did something memorable that they would pick up on. You were in a film festival, yeah, something like that. You worked on a short film that got nominated for some kind of award in a film festival. They might ask you about that stuff, and that's something that's a talking point that you can tell them about, either in an email conversation, or if you actually have a phone interview, or even like a video conference interview. Nowadays, you might not have a face-to-face interview until the office jobs start opening up again. But at any rate, that is important to do that, okay? And a couple cool things to remember is these things are free, and this is the stuff that we didn't have even 5 to 10 years ago. It was not that developed. So let's take advantage of these things and use it, because here's my take on this stuff, is that any tool that's going to help better your career, help get you more friends, and help get you more connections, we should obviously take advantage of it, okay? And the fact that it's free is just like a bonus. Now, it might be confusing for some. You might have to look at a tutorial to figure out how it's done, okay? But you spend 10 minutes on YouTube, I think you can figure it out with the tutorials that are out there. And that's a resource that we didn't have before, okay? And this is how we stay connected as a community and an artist to get that stuff going. All right. Here's an interesting warning from Amy on here. It says, be careful what you like on LinkedIn. I liked a friend's article to be supported, but it was pretty racy. I didn't realize it was showing up at the top of my profile, highlighted way bigger than my post, for a couple of months. Or be careful of your settings. Yeah, make sure your privacy settings are all on there, right? One thing I should also mention, if you want to become a member, is IMDB, right? The Internet Movie Database. You guys should know about that. That's another. It's not necessarily social media, but it's a profile account, just like ArtStation, where they have pro accounts if you actually pay for it, because you can manipulate the credits that are going in there. Before, I was at a film conference once, and people were impressed with my IMDb account. Like I don't even go on there, and in fact, I haven't updated it in a long time. But they're like, wow, you worked on these. I can't believe you did that video game back in the day. I was like, wow, I didn't even know that was on there. So for those of you guys who have credits to your name, that's another platform that you can take a look at. And it gives you clout. It gives you legitimacy that you've been on there. So I have my Lucas stuff. I have my film stuff that I worked on in Europe. Like that's all there. It should be there. Not I have to check out. Sometimes I even have uncredited stuff that I didn't get the credit for, but I worked on the project. So I think you can go in there. There was a way, I found a link where you can submit your credit to there. So there's ways to do that. Question from John Claude here. JC's asking, do you think it's worth it to be a premium member on LinkedIn? My honest opinion right now is a no. I think you should probably save your money. I have not personally had any experience with that. So for those of you guys who are a premium member, maybe you can give us your experience, because my take on that is, like, I think the free portion is already pretty good. I think the premium stuff, from what I understand, is they let you do sponsored posts and kind of get to the top of the searches. Now, unless you have like a budget to spend on that, I would just say you're probably better off just doing organic stuff, like posting naturally. And it's something as easy as if you post once a day, once every 2 days. I mean, some people post multiple times a day. Like there really is no rule there. In fact, the more you post, the better it is, because people are going to start seeing your content. Again, make sure it's like pro related, it's artwork, it's storytelling, so that it's not getting confused with other stuff. So guys on Instagram know the drill here. They do that a lot. I follow a lot of guys who post sometimes at least once a day, if not multiple times a day, and it's great to see their feeds because they're really active. So that way, I would just encourage you guys first to do that, then spend money on other things, right? Yeah, so that's kind of if you you might try a test and see if that works or not. Okay. Um, yeah, I'm glad you liked the IMDb mention here. So that's something I haven't talked about very much, but I search people on IMDb a lot. Every time if I work with a director or somebody, I will look up their name and see what they've done. And every time I have a film I like and I don't recognize the people on there, I'll look up the film and I'll see who the directors are, the producers are, and stuff. That's also a good way to connect with people, because you see what work they've done, and then maybe if you actually are talking to somebody to get a gig, you can mention some of the things that they worked on. Yeah, so IMDb is a great resource. Now, just to mention a couple of things too, I should probably get back into it. There is a pro IMDb account, which is also kind of similar to what you're talking about here, JC. Which is like you can pay for it, and I think it's like a yearly fee. I think it's really reasonable. I think there was a point where I actually paid for it a number of years ago, and I uploaded a couple of photos and I put some things there. And again, it was one of those things where I just didn't pay enough attention to it and I just let it go. So what's there is just my standard credit account, right? And the way IMDb works, from how I understand it, is that people are creating professional projects, video games, movies, TV, everything, through the unions and through the official channels. They'll submit the list of credits, and those get filtered somehow through through IMDb. Now, IMDb, if you notice, it's owned by Amazon now, which is actually an interesting development, because the films that are on Amazon and Amazon Prime, they show the IMDb information, which is kind of cool. So if you pause it, you can, at least on my Prime feed, Amazon Prime, you can see like the actors and get the tidbits and stuff from IMDb. And so you may or may not have more reach because it's owned by a bigger company. Regardless, though, that's also something that gives you clout and credit, and something that you can take and you can put that on your website if you have it. It's not a big deal if you don't, so don't freak out if you don't have like a pro credit yet. That'll come with time. It just naturally happens. I think a better thing to do, as far as like if you're thinking about getting a pro IMDb or a pro LinkedIn account, is trying it out organically and posting your stuff just on your own. And then if that is not getting the reach that you want, then you can think about getting the subscription or the yearly service, because I think that actually opens up some promotional things for you that could help. But again, if any of you guys have experience with that, well, let us know, and hopefully we can share that on the next one, right? Cool. So this is a good comment from JC here. Did you know that there's a equivalent for movie scripts? It's awesome if you want to board new scenes and get some extra meat in your portfolio. My friend, if you have that link, do us a great favor and post it in here. I have not seen the IMDb of scripts, so that should be cool. I do have a couple of links, and I think we posted that on the Storyboard Art website. Is links that people have uploaded for scripts of TV shows and movies and stuff. So those are cool things that you can research. But yeah, if you have that link, that's awesome. All right, guys. Well, I think this has been a fun, productive networking chat. And like I said, check us out for, if you missed any of these things, check us out on our social media channels, particularly YouTube. We post the recordings here, and also on Facebook. So thanks for that. And yeah, and thanks JC for looking that up for us. Check out the feed on this, for hopefully we can get those links for like the scripts and some other connections that we need to do. So remember, keep busy, stay healthy, keep working hard. That starving artist thing is a complete and utter myth. I should maybe do another chat about that afterwards on a different day, because I love destroying those useless myths. All right. All right, friends. And we got it up. Thank you, Jean-Claude. I appreciate that. There's a really good link, and we'll post this in the notes afterwards. All right, friends. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. See ya.